right, welcome to the Am I Hunting podcast. Thank you for tuning in as always. So this episode, I'm joined by Ryan, my brother-in-law, as we sit down and just kind of sit around and talk hunting, go a little bit about his background in hunting, how he got started, because we really hadn't, in all the years I've known him, I really hadn't sat down with him and, had a long discussion about, hunting with him. We've shared stories and kind of, talked about different things that happened throughout the season. But this is really the first time we've really sat down for an extended period of time and really dove into kind of his background in hunting and just some of his hunts that he's been on. So this episode was a long time coming. It was one I should have done long ago, but we finally got it done. So as always, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, share the show with your friends. Sharing, the spread of word of mouth of you. If you enjoy this podcast, if you enjoy this episode, making sure you tell your friends, that you share it on social media. That really does help. It get the word out about the podcast, and it just helps. I really like to see it when I see that, every week or every episode, there's a few more listeners, a few more people tuning in. So I'm very thankful for everyone that does tune in and enjoys the show. And don't forget to head on over to mihuntingpodcast.com where you can check out the full array of content available, all the podcast episodes, videos. Add a new page for a blog that's basically going to have different recipes and articles, basically just kind of more of my experience, kind of diving in a little bit more deeply than some of the topics even that we were able to discuss in a regular episode. Head on over to the shop, check out some of the logo wear and some of the other products available. And if you want to get a little bit more out of it, head on over to the Join Us tab, become a member. Your membership supports this show directly, as well as grants you special discounts on everything within the store, as well as members-only content. And without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the conversation with Ryan. Yeah, man. So let's go ahead and get into the topics at hand, because we do have dinner. It's going to be waiting on us here if we take too long. So
yep.
But again, so thanks for coming on. I know it's sometimes a little awkward to be like, hey, we're going to put a headset on you. Oh, hey, and there's a camera. Like, that was the funniest thing. When I did the live stream.
Yeah.
Like I think it was Matt. He didn't even know there's going to be a camera until like 10 minutes before getting here.
Oh.
So he's just like, wait, what?
Camera shy?
No, he did fine. Of course, the problem was too, I put him like right there, so he was like right in front of the camera. So like he kept trying to like scoot back, and Calvin's like,
I remember seeing that. Yeah, we're just like, like no.
Yeah, but no, I mean that was really fun. I mean, I was so sweating it to make sure that everything worked properly.
Yeah.
Because that was like the first time ever, especially trying to link it to like YouTube with all my equipment.
It looked good. I mean, I watched it. Parker and I were watching, and it looked pretty good to me. I didn't see any problem at all.
The one thing I'll say is like I understand why like all these podcast guys have like a separate like sound engineer or like producer or something like that, like off the hand.
Mm-hmm.
Like trying to like be host and be like the engineer.
Yeah.
It was so difficult. But
all right.
But yeah, man. So let's get into it. I mean, I don't think we've ever really sat down like in a long form and actually talk hunting. I know we've talked here and there about stories and like our experiences through different seasons, but
yeah,
we've never really dove into or never really got like your perspective on like your upbringing and hunting and stuff like that. So
okay,
let's start out like how I like to start with most hunters I bring on the show. Right,
sure.
Just want to get like a hunter profile of where you start out hunting, some of your first memories of it. So take it away.
Okay. Yeah. As you know, we go to our hunt camp. At a real young age. I'd go with my dad. When he'd go out and get stuff ready and bait and what have you, and I'd always ask to go. And I guess that's kind of where I caught the bug. And same with my dad. Hunting behind the house. He used to have a tree stand out in Hoosier, out on state land, and I just remember always wanting to go with him to bait or help whatever wherever I could to help him get ready for the season, and always interested in if you ever shot a deer, I always want to go track it, and just always been interested in that. And fishing. We would do quite a bit of fishing when I was younger. A lot of ice fishing, not so much out on open water. I'd fish on the river out on the Boardman. We'd go camping, and I didn't know what I was doing. Just throwing a line in the water and just reeling it right back in. But
yeah, you got your worm and bobbers and
whatever. Just throw it in, and whatever happened. I don't know how many lures I lost in that river. I mean, just constantly losing them. I don't know how many Rapala lures are in that river for me, but I mean, there's probably their fair share. But I think I've only caught one trout out of that river the whole time that I'd fished, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember growing up, because my, later on, my grandma brought some property down by the Platte River.
Yeah.
Me and my cousins would always fish there, and I think we've caught, like, I don't even remember what species it was, but some form of little trout or something like that. It was only like 6 inches long.
Right.
But like that, we fished there for years, and that's all we ever caught. We eventually, like, every now and then we'd see like the spawned out salmon near the bank. We're like, hey, can we keep this one?
Right.
And my grandma's like, no, you're not keeping that thing. It's half dead anyways.
Right. Yeah, they look pretty gnarly when they're on their way out.
Oh, they definitely look bad. Yeah, that's for sure. But yeah, and then aside from that, again, from getting my cousins, I don't know why I fish with them. Both of my cousins I really have fished with in the past have hooked me in some manner. So you were just the pretty typical, Northern Michigan kid thing. Your dad does this, so you go out with them.
Yep.
Now, when, like, did you start out, bow hunting, or just going out to rifle season with them? Like, when did you finally start to hunt?
I think it was 12 is when you can bow hunt, if I remember correctly. And I remember we went to Gothiers, and my dad bought me my first bow. It was a Hoyt Magic, and I think I still have it.
Really?
Yep. It was a compound Hoyt Magic, and I was stoked, just over the moon. Like, all right, I can do this on my own now. And got set up in a tree stand behind my parents' house, and just loving every single second of it. Just I felt so independent. Like, hey, I'm out here, and just sitting and waiting and waiting and waiting and nothing. And then finally, I think it was my first season. Yeah, I saw some deer, and just you get that first hunter anxiety and jitters, where you're just shaking when you see a deer. And I don't even think it had to be a buck at that point. It was just like, there's a deer right there. Can I shoot it? And I'd ask my dad, can I shoot that one? He's like, I don't know.
So when you were going out behind the house, then he was sitting right next to you. Then
he would sit next to me, or he'd be there was another tree stand he had. I don't think we had walkie-talkies at that point, but
was it basically the same setup that's kind of back there now, where the one tree stand?
Yeah, you remember where that one tree stand was right when you went right across the bridge?
Yeah.
I think that tree's fallen now, but he had that tree. I mean, that tree stand was kind of shady. Like, he's like, don't lean forward, you'll fall. Don't lean this way, you'll fall. And, just sit still. Don't move. The deer will come in. Just don't move. Just sit. And, it's just like, all right. And so, I mean, it was a good start, for getting into hunting, just being real close to home. My dad was with me, and I think, the only time I've never shot a deer with that bow. I mean, I shot at a deer, but even if I were to shoot a deer, the poundage on that bow was just, today I probably pull it back, no problem. Probably, pull it back, one-handed or something. But yeah. I think, that arrow would probably just bink.
Well, I don't know, because I mean, back then, do you remember? Were you shooting aluminum arrows, or were they carbon arrows back then?
I think they were aluminum.
Yeah, so they were heavy enough. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, especially if you talk with any of the people, or especially the big, like, heavier arrow setup people, they're like, yeah, like that, like that's part of the reason why so many people would kill so many deer with those, like, the technology of the bows wasn't there, but
Yeah.
those arrows were so heavy they just punched through anything.
Right.
So, but that is funny though that, like, yeah, you talk about like the original bow that you had.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. And, I'd like it if Parker or Willow, they're interested, and, that it'd be a great starter bow. I mean, it's in great shape. I mean, after I quit using it, because I quit bow hunting for quite a few years, and, I think I just kind of lost interest in it after a while. But my big thing was, I'd go rifle hunting when I think it was after I was allowed to go rifle hunting, I kind of lost interest in bow hunting. But yeah, I mean, if they're interested, I'd like to set up a target behind the house and just let them, do what they want to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which, I mean, it'll be always interesting to see if they do develop an interest in it, or if they develop an interest, do they stick with it? Because,
Right.
I mean, that's the same thing with the girls. I mean, until last year, like, Kira had no interest in hunting. Like,
Yeah.
Not like, no, like not doing it.
Right.
And then she was just like, yeah, I'll do it. And now I ask her, she's like, yeah, like I have no problem shooting a deer.
Caught the bug.
Yeah. Yeah, she did. She really did. So, so I mean, so you started rifling. Now, did you guys ever rifle other than, or?
I think I rifle hunted behind my parents' house once. And then on my own, I've just gone out on my own, out on state land or, friends' property. But typically it's just been in Boone. I mean, it's just, you got your stereotypical Northern Michigan hunt camp. You go down the night before and, you have your fun, and, it's just tradition. And, it really, what we did when I first started hunting down there is almost basically the exact same routine as it is today. I mean, It just doesn't change, and that's fine with me. I mean, it just feels good, feels normal. You got your routine, and, wake up the same time. I think we've had the same breakfast every year, every morning, ever since I started going down there. It's always poorly cooked eggs, burnt toast, and bad coffee. And it's like, even though it's not the greatest breakfast in the world, it's like, all right, this is deer camp breakfast. It's great.
Yeah. No, that's really interesting because, I mean, like, we still have kind of our, opening day rifle tradition. We go down to the farm, but it's not really like a huge, like, deer camp environment. It's usually, my dad, myself, maybe my sister, and then Mike, the landowner. I mean, but the same thing is, like, it's the same breakfast, waffle and sausage, some coffee, orange juice.
Yep.
And then we come back in usually for lunch. It's usually like chili and pie.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And then you go back out. But it is really interesting, too, to hear the other people that really had that bigger deer camp tradition. Ours, I mean, same thing. We've been doing that for as far back as I can remember. That's been the tradition.
Yeah.
But it's always been really isolated and small. You guys usually had a pretty good crew. I mean, you and your dad, your aunts, uncles, cousins.
Right. Yep.
I mean, how many people did you usually have, at camp?
Oh, man. Trying to remember. I think at the most we had, let's see, it was Uncle Gary, my dad, cousin Stacy, Uncle Tom was there at one point, Jill was there at one point, me, John, there'd be Mike, Colton, Bob, Brian. So what, we're up to about 11 now? Yeah. I mean, 11 plus. And I mean, Brian, Bob, Mike, and them, they had their own property, but it was adjacent. And then we were for the most part pretty spread out. I mean, some of us were closer to each other than we'd kind of like to be at some point. But to where you look over and you're like, all right, there's Stacy over there. All right, hey, So we had a pretty big crew, and it made everybody had their own story for the day. So it would take a while to get through, especially, you get back from lunch and everybody's got to run through their morning. And so, and I forgot my cousins, Cody, Seth. I think Kyle as well at one point. But yeah, we had a pretty hardy crew of people. And still today there's a decent number. But it's, it's always nice to go down and, see everybody. Sometimes you don't see them for an entire year. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, it's kind of the same thing. Like you said, this kind of that tradition where you feel really comfortable with it. 'Cause it's like, it's very familiar. It's what you do.
Yep.
Now, so back in the day, how many were there, with that many hunters, did you guys usually have quite a bit of success?
Yes and no. Some, it's just like, normal hunting. Some years it's great. Some years, in the morning, everybody comes back and see anything, Other years, 5 of the guys will get, a deer in the morning or, I think for a while there with the antler point restriction, I think kind of put a little bit of a drought on things. But, now today I think it's changed quite a bit. And, even the property's changed quite a bit. It was an old Christmas tree farm that had grown over, and I think a couple years ago now, 3-4, they clear cut it, and now you got all that scrub coming back in there, all those popples, and once that started recovering again, I've been seeing some decent sized deer come through. Last year, this last season, I had an 8-point come in, and I don't know, but he caught me. He was looking the other way, and I was like, all right, this is great. Pulled up on him. As soon as I pulled up on him and got comfortable, for some reason he turned around real fast, like on a dime, just turned right around. I was still and steady and quiet, nothing. But for some reason, he just, no. And, took off, and you hear him in the woods going, whoosh.
Oh, hearing him blow and
whatnot. He blow and stomp and, having a hissy fit. But
what do you think? What are your predictions on what happened? What do you think spooked him?
I don't know. It was a weird season. It was, as it was warm. Maybe I made a noise that I didn't know that I had made, or, maybe there's something behind me that he didn't like. But, after that, I had, I saw him on camera quite a bit, but he'd come in at, the weird hours like they normally do, like 2:00, 5:00, then you don't see anything all day. And then the same thing, like he had his routine, but, opening day, he came in during daylight hours, and I was like, all right, great. I thought I was going to do well like I did the year before where I shot that big 8-point, and just wasn't in the cards.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I know you had, again, like you said, last year, you had success. You got that nice buck.
Yeah.
I want to go back, though, about what you were talking about with the antler point restriction. What did, with your guys' camp and whatnot, when that came in to effect, that was relatively new for the area. I kind of had a different perspective on it because I grew up right next to Leonard County.
Yeah.
Who had the APRs for years before everyone else did.
Yep.
So I was used to that idea.
Mm-hmm.
And we already kind of knew that if you wanted to go after bigger deer, you went to Leonard County.
Right.
So when they made it for the rest of the 13 counties and whatnot, I was just like, okay, good, finally.
Yeah.
But what you guys remember, or you remember what the mindset was when they made that change for that area?
It was a mixed bag. A lot of it, I think the guys just kind of felt like, okay, this is just another way of, limiting what we can and can't do. And, it goes back to that mindset. But, and in the back of my mind, I was like, all right, we're not going to be shooting these spike horns and, all of these small deer, give them a chance to grow up. And, I really feel like it made a difference for sure. You can tell. You can definitely tell it has made a difference. And, now looking back, I think that they've come around to that idea, the guys that were really against it or, didn't think that it would do any good, but it definitely has. And I think that they see that now. So it's kind of like and I told you so moment,
Yeah, it is a little bit like I can see how like the argument is a lot of times is like, yeah, the government or the DNR
Right.
saying, oh, we can't harvest the deer what we want. Like, it's our tag.
Yep.
We can hunt it how we can, take whatever game we want with it. Which I get that part. I mean, it's funny whenever like new regulations. When I was like, should they really be telling you what you can do with that tag?
Right.
But I think like kind of like with like the push for harvesting does now. Like, I think if us as hunters would do better at being able to like kind of see the writing on the wall of what needs to be done,
Right.
and us take the initiative, then the DNR wouldn't. I don't think they would necessarily be trying to force our hand.
Yeah.
By pushing for it. Now again, like I like the idea of like the universal doe tag for
Yep.
the simple sense of like I like to hunt multiple counties, so I don't have to try to draw a doe tag in those counties or
Right.
or be limited on where I can hunt for that doe.
Yep.
But I also get the idea of like, especially here in northern Michigan, or like even like again the rules are a little bit different for up in the UP. Like some areas up here we don't have a lot of deer.
Right.
So it's like people like look at the universal doe tags. They're you can buy up to 10 of them.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's just the DNR trying to eliminate deer. Like there's barely any deer. Like what are they doing? It's like, okay, yes, everyone up here can buy 10 doe tags. You could harvest 10 if you wanted to.
But who does?
But who's going to? Yeah.
Right.
And then so it's like, again, that's mostly for downstate where they have overpopulation deer where they just don't know what to do with them.
Right. Right.
So it's like, okay, the DNR put that out,
Yep.
but we as hunters, we can be like, okay, where does this make sense to implement this?
How much venison is too much venison?
Yeah. Yeah. And then again, same thing. I mean, would it be possible for hunters to overhunt an area and just completely wipe it out? Potentially, but
Yeah.
I would think most hunters would see that harvesting that many deer is not the right answer.
And yeah, I mean, I think most hunters are responsible, which, at least I would think that they are, and yeah. And I think, it's just going back again to the antler point restriction. I think, it's definitely making for a healthier deer herd. I mean,
yeah. I mean, if you look at the science, I mean, having older class deer on the landscape is better for the population dynamics of the deer and whatnot. And again, I mean, some people could get mad about targeting trophy deer or trophy bucks or whatnot, but there's nothing wrong with that either.
No.
Like you can fill the freezer and get your trophy deer too.
Right.
Like, you can have both.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
But again, I get the idea of some of the regulations. Like, okay, like they're trying to guide the hand a little bit.
Yeah.
But like we still have the option.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yep.
But let's. I mean, speaking of the buck that you got last year, now that we went completely off the rails, let's hear the story from that buck from last year, because I mean that was a really good buck that you got.
That's the biggest deer I've ever harvested.
I was just gonna ask if that was your biggest buck that you've gotten.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, that was a big deer. So it was opening day. I think it was just starting to get light enough to where you can actually see where I've got my shooting lane open, and he came in. He just walked in out of nowhere. I was watching, and just walks right in, and he just sniffing around. I had some scent hanging from a tree, and he's putting his nose up in the air, and like, wow, like this is a big deer. I'm thinking in the back of my head, I'm like, don't screw this up. Don't screw this up. As my heart is racing, because the biggest deer that I've had an opportunity to harvest, and just going through my head, you got your mental checklist. I'm like, all right, wait till he's not looking this way. Just play it cool, be quiet. So, I remember pulling up on him and just waiting. I'm like, all right, calm down, just breathe for one. And, heart's still racing. And, I lined up on him and, I took the shot and it, took me a minute. I'm like, all right. Shot him. I'm trying to watch where he goes. I can hear him running and then I hear nothing. I was like, all right, well, this is good. I don't hear anything else. I think he maybe about 10 seconds, hearing him, run through the woods. And so I sit and wait. I'm like, all right, just be patient, wait it out. If you got a good shot or you got somewhat of a, whatever shot on him, just wait, because, I've prematurely gotten out of my blind, trying to look and that's gone the other way, So I get out maybe after, I waited 10 minutes and I'm like, all right, just Ryan, be patient. Just wait another 5. So I get out about 15 minutes after and I start walking in the direction where, I was pretty sure that I shot him. And no snow on the ground, but it had just started to snow. And it was starting to get, the flakes are getting bigger. I'm like, all right, you're going to have to find this guy because, if there is a blood trail, it's going to get covered up by this snow. And, if you got a bad shot on him and, he's bleeding out, better be on it now. So I'm looking. I looked for probably about 10 minutes and didn't find anything. I was like, blew it. Good job. You blew it. And, so I'm, doing a grid pattern through the woods, trying to look. And, I radioed my dad and my cousin. Hey, I got a shot, not finding anything. Like, all right, well, you need any help? I'm like, I think I'm all right. Just, you guys stay because it's still really early, like everybody's out, because it was probably about 7:45-ish. And, that's some pretty good hunting time. So I'm like, all right, just let them do their thing. I got this. Finally, I find a little bit of blood, just a little bit. I'm like, okay, this could be good or this could be bad. If I got a real good shot, could be good. If I got a real bad shot, could be bad.
And about how far from where you took the shot or where the deer was standing to where you found that first blood?
I'd say probably about 5 or 10 feet, maybe.
Okay.
And it wasn't a lot. I mean, I'm still trying to follow the blood trail and, maybe about 8, little after 8, maybe about 8:15, I'd say. I finally found him. I was like, oh, thank God. He's right there.
Yeah.
And, I looked him over and, I got a real good shot on him. And I was like, all right, you got a good shot on him. So, and then, spending my time, dressing him and everything like that. And so, that went well. Drug him back to my blind. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to hang out. Just to hang out. I was pleased as could be. And no joke, probably about 45 minutes later, another deer comes in and it's a 6-point. But he's kind of got a funky looking antler. And I was like, all right, do we want to be greedy? Can I tag out on opening day? I'm like, I let him go. And I'm still mad about it. I could have had, an 8-point and a 6-point, sitting next to my blind, when the guys come driving through and be like, look what I did.
Yeah.
But, looking back, it's like, maybe I should have, but I didn't.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that goes by every time. Let a deer pass, just like, oh, no, not
right.
That one, different one. And all of a sudden, like, you don't see anything for like a week later. You're like, oh, I should have shot that
right.
deer. or like last year, I didn't even get a buck. So I'm just like,
yeah,
maybe I shouldn't let that buck pass. Maybe I shouldn't let him go. Like, I should have shot him. Yeah,
my season last year was garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't go out as much as I should have for one, but that 1 8-point that walked in, like, there's no reason that, I to this day still trying to, rewind in my head, like, what happened to where, he flipped on a dime and was gone? Like, what did I do? Was it me? Was it something else?
Yeah. That was like when I took Kara out for the youth season. Like, we had a couple of fawns come in, and like they would come out, and then for whatever reason they would like look, like, and then spook and then run off.
Yeah.
And then like 30 minutes later they come back.
Right.
Do the same thing. Even like, and then the doe came out, same thing. And it's like, well, the wind's not like it's not our wind.
Yeah.
They're not looking at us.
Right.
Like, there's something else that's getting them all worked up.
Yeah.
And like they kept running off. I'm just like, this is how the night's gonna go. Where like as soon as the deer comes in here, they're gonna spook. But fortunately, we had a good opportunity at the buck she got. But the same thing is just like, what is going on? Like,
Yeah.
why are these deer freaking out? Like,
It makes you kind of want to walk in the woods just to figure out, what is it that they're seeing or hearing or smelling, like something is out there that they don't like, and what is it? And so,
there's nothing that'll pique your interest more when you see a deer staring off in some direction.
Yeah.
You're like, what are they looking at?
right.
What is it?
Is it a bigger deer?
Yeah, that's that's the optimism. Just like,
Oh, yeah.
oh, like here comes, it's got to be a big buck, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's got to be.
Yeah.
And then they're like, nope, there's another doe.
Yeah.
Or worst case, like a coyote or something like that. And it's like, oh.
Or a stupid squirrel making all the noise in the world.
Yeah, I mean, we're never going to win that battle against the squirrels.
No.
But yeah, I mean, it is funny how, like you said, looking back, like, that, like, kind of a little bit of remorse, like, I should have.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you could have shot that deer, walked up on him, and been like...
Well, and, maybe that 6 point then is, that 8 point this year that I missed an opportunity on,
Certainly could have been, yeah.
Maybe he'll be back next year. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all I always think about is, like any of those, like, 1.5, 2-year-old deer, like, if you shoot it now, that's all it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's never going to get any bigger. If you let it go, like, yeah, sure, someone else might kill it. You could get hit by a car, whatever.
Right.
But, like, there's a chance it makes it.
That's a chance you got to take.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like, but the same thing, like, when things don't go your way, you're like, it could have happened.
Yep.
But, so about that 8 point that you got, about how far away was it from your blind? How far of a shot do you think it was?
It was probably about 50 to 75 yards, maybe, give or take.
Yeah, so definitely, within a relatively easy range for rifle. Because what type of rifle are you using?
It is a 308.
308?
Yep, Remington 308.
So, yeah, no problem there. And then surely scoped.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's one of those things like especially if you're not seeing blood right away, you're like,
yeah,
what? Like, there should not have been any reason why I missed.
Right.
So I had that happen with that bottom one there. Like, it was like one of my first years getting back into hunting again, and like shot, and like usually you can kind of like see like the deer react a little bit, especially because I'm using a 7 mag. Like, usually, like, if they're not falling down, like, you can tell they're hurt.
Right.
This thing didn't even jump, didn't do nothing. Just turned and ran, like, straight.
That's what the 8 point did that I shot. He just took off like nothing happened. Yep. So that's what, in my mind, I'm like, nothing happened.
Yeah. Yeah. But same thing. I'm just like this was like 80 yards broadside, like, steady, like, rested on my blind. This is like, how did I miss?
Right.
Like, there's no, and I'm like, I literally was just like, I just missed the biggest buck in my life. Like, I'm a terrible hunter. I'm never hunting again.
Right.
Like, I'm done if I miss this deer.
Right.
But fortunately, was able to recover pretty easy. Same thing. Made a good shot on it. Double lunged it.
Yeah.
Didn't go far. Didn't even make it to the wood line, really.
Yep.
But it's just one of those things, like, when things go awry, you just immediately question everything.
That's the first thing that goes through my head, after I shoot. And, like with what you said, if that deer doesn't react, your first instinct is, I screwed up. Yeah. What am I doing?
That's one thing, though, I hate about, I like doing muzzleloader season just because it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I hate, when you get that big flash of smoke in front of your face and the flash, like, you can't really see what's going on. Like, when, like, that deer, like, I shot this doe, and like 50 yards, and like same thing, like no blood. I'm like, what the heck? Like,
Yeah.
I have no idea what happened. Like, I didn't even know like where she went because I
Right.
just saw nothing but smoke. So I didn't see what direction she ran.
Yep.
Nothing. And then it's just like, what's going on? What happened?
Yep. Yep.
I don't know what's going on. And then the same thing. It was like it took me forever to find blood.
Yeah.
But that one didn't turn out all that well because for some reason, sighted the muzzleloader in, and then when I go take it out for a hunt, it's like 6 inches off again.
Oh.
So I'm pretty sure I just hit like probably right up in the back strap.
Yeah.
So I got surface blood, but tracked a deer for just shy of a mile.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know.
Nothing.
Yeah. Eventually I ran out of blood. I found a bed with like 2 little like 2-inch like little drops like
Yeah.
pools of blood. And then the deer got up and got mixed in with a whole bunch of other deer tracks.
Oh.
And I was like, I can't find my way out of this.
Right.
So, but.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. It's funny when things go awry. Like, not the time for sure. With that big buck that I missed out on an opportunity last year, or this last season, like, I almost threw my bow out of this tree. Like, everything was perfect. I was in the right spot at the right time. The deer came through.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even get to get my bow in my hand.
Oh.
It spooked that quickly. And I was like,
Yeah.
I'm done. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's not fun.
I had an instance like that. It was rifle season, kind of. Well, it was a disappointing situation, but it was a bad shot. I had a bad shot on this deer, and I tracked it for quite a while, and there was a lot of blood, and where we're at, there's a wood line. It clears it. There's a clearing. It opens up to like a old farm field, and then more wood line, and after that there's a road. So I tracked this deer from where I'd shot it, and I thought I got a good shot. I guess they say sometimes a lot of blood's good, sometimes it's not. There was a lot of blood. So, and I followed this deer for quite a while, and it had laid down, and I spooked it and got up and ran. So I tracked it across the road, and across the road, they do, it's a carrot farm, and they got those huge deer fences. And this deer found its way into one of the open gates. I'm like, all right, it's in the gate. There's no way it's going anywhere because this is the gate. So we get out there and we track it around this field, and it goes all the way around the field and back to the original point because we had closed the gate behind us. And I mean, we tracked. This deer was bleeding a lot, and track it back to the gate, and starts going back around again.
No.
And so we're tracking it. We got a gator. We're driving. We're walking, and come to the upper left-hand corner of this field. There was another gate. That gate was open. It went through that gate, and still to this day, I don't know, because we gave it up after we tracked that deer for probably about 2 hours, and I thought for sure that this deer was going to be laying on the ground somewhere, but I mean, I thought it went into this gated farm. There's no way it's getting out of here. No way. We locked it in.
Yeah.
But found the other gate and it took off. But it's those things. It's just you shake your head and you think you're a terrible hunter for a little bit, but like sometimes things happen. Sometimes it's just you do the best you can. You make sure you're prepared as you can. But so
yeah, that's the thing that that's the one thing, especially as hunters, we'll never get away from that. Something will sometimes go wrong.
Right.
And you'll wound a deer and you won't be able, like you said, either not be able to catch up with it, not be able to find it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know if it's going to survive or if it's mortally wounded.
Right.
And then, it'll eat at you.
Yeah.
But I mean, it'd be one thing if you shoot and then oh, that was a bad shot, I'm not even going to bother going after that one.
Right.
That'd be one thing. But if you try everything that you can,
Yep.
it happens. And that's like for general public like outlook, like that's a hard one to deal with.
Yeah.
To like try to like yeah, sometimes like it's gonna go bad.
Yeah.
And, like,
Yep.
but it's one of those. I don't know really, a good way to like say it other than like it just happens and you're gonna have to deal with it.
Right. Yep.
So
Just do your best to, make sure that, if there's something that you did wrong, to concentrate on that. And
yeah, and that's one thing too. I mean, of course, with me being friends with Calvin, who's got a tracking dog, like I think that's a great way to confirm.
mm-hmm.
Like you said, like if you're not having a good blood trail, or like if you're unsure, like get that dog involved. They'll be able to take up a track a lot better than us trying to just find the blood.
Right.
And a lot of times, yeah, you can either stay on the trail longer to make a more educated prediction of what's going on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and again, much easier to confirm if that deer's alive or dead if you go a couple miles and it's like, yeah, there's like it's not stopping.
Right.
Not sure beer's the best thing to activate you, but whatever.
Works.
Mm-hmm. But you were saying too that you had made a mistake of getting out of your blind early.
Yeah.
Let's hear that story.
That was the one.
Oh, that's the one.
That's the
Okay.
one. Sorry, I forgot to mention that, but yeah, I blew the doors open on my blind and was on it right now, and that was, I think maybe if I would have let that deer maybe lay down a little longer, maybe, it just.
It's hard to say because I mean, again, if that deer's mortally wounded, like yeah, letting it lay, probably would have stayed in that bed or maybe not have traveled that far.
Yeah.
From that original bed. But if it wasn't a mortal shot, that deer would have jumped up
Yeah.
and taken off anyways.
Right.
Like that doe that I shot with the muzzler. Like I am like 99% convinced that deer survived.
Yeah.
So like is that just because I'm trying to make myself feel better? Like no, I really do think that deer is alive.
Yeah.
Now, like the bed, like if I hadn't bumped her out of that, like maybe,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think it was a mortal shot. So
It's just crazy to think how quickly, a deer can sort of start recovering after something like that. Like just how quickly, their blood will coagulate and start healing. And it's like, what, how,
Yeah.
why, like,
yeah,
it's crazy.
they are made to survive.
Mhm.
And it's amazing, like the number of stories you hear people like, oh yeah, like processing this deer, like pulled a broadhead out of his neck or
Yeah.
out of his spine, or
Right.
there was one. I don't remember where the story originated from, but guy killed this buck, and it was a big buck. I mean, it was like their target buck they're going after, and in processing it, realized it had a collapsed lung,
Oh, really?
and the lung was dead, and like there's no it didn't happen that year,
Wow.
or at least thinking like this deer has been running around for like a full year
Yeah.
with one lung.
They're crazy. That's crazy how strong they are. And just, I remember my dad shot a deer one year, and he was field dressing it, and he opens it up, and the deer heart was just goop.
Yeah.
And he's like, this deer ran like 50 yards. Ran. It did, and I'm like,
With no blood pumping through his body.
exactly. Like, what kind of animal does that?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
most animals, if you don't have a heart, you drop. But no, not a deer.
Yeah, I know. I think about that as like, God, like even like a deer getting shot through like with an arrow, like very morbid. I know, but like if a human gets shot with an arrow like that, like
Right.
they're not running off.
No, not at all.
Like, the person's not running off after
No,
that.
no,
Like,
no. Yeah, it's wild. It's
yeah.
wild.
Yeah, that I think, like I've heard that like Steven Ranella with the media stuff, he'll talk about this. Like he thinks mule deer are cooler than whitetail.
Yeah.
Like maybe they're more interesting, But the fact that like whitetail are across the entire country,
Yeah.
like that's pretty cool.
Right.
Like they are so good at just being like
They've done something right to be able to, have that, wide range of population.
yeah, and they can thrive like in urban areas. They're like, yeah, this is cool. Like I'm hanging on like behind your garage, no problem.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
don't care.
Yep.
Oh, my cousin, he had a crazy video of a giant buck down in his backyard, like middle of the day, just massive. Just like he's whistling and it's just like, what?
City deer are so funny to watch, because you can talk to them, you can get somewhat close to them and they just watch you like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
What, go away. I'm eating here.
Yeah.
Like, like you bothersome to them.
Yeah. Look how aggravated that the bird feeder's empty.
Yeah. Right.
Hello.
Right. Come up to your door, like, fill it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like I got to go on one mule deer hunt. They're pretty cool. But it's like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just biased because we have them here.
Yeah.
Like if we had mule deer in Michigan, it'd be like, yeah, mule deer are way cooler.
Yeah. Right. Whitetails are pretty cool. I mean, it's, yeah.
So, I mean, like, you said that you bow hunted back in the day. Are you thinking about potentially getting back into it again, or are you still going to focus on rifle season more so?
I'd like to get back into bow. I don't know if I'm going to do, crossbow, compound, and maybe if I do start getting more and more into it, maybe I'd eventually like try recurve. I mean, that'd be just, it after a while, not like I'm going to go bow hunting again. I'm going to get a recurve and, like, but, I have hunted with a crossbow and, I've harvested one deer with a crossbow. And I've harvested a few deer with compound, but, so I don't know. It's just, time will tell. Just, when and if I feel ready to start getting back into that. I'd like to. It's just, you got to find the time to do it sometimes, and just, it's just, I want to make sure I'm ready and it's, the right decision.
Yeah, that is a tough thing about bow hunting. Now, again, the crossbow does make it a little bit easier because, yes, you don't have to practice nearly as often as you would
Right.
with a compound. But you do have to put in more effort and time. And sometimes it's not always easy to make time for that.
Yep.
So, I mean, even like, with me putting so much focus into hunting, it's sometimes it's like, can't, like, got other priorities, whatever.
Yep.
So, I know, right? Well, I was just thinking too because I did mention on the notes about fishing, but I mean, fishing sucks right now.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know what to think about it right now. Like, he should be out on the lake. Mm-hmm. Right now we should be out on a lake, and it's wild. I just, I've seen a few guys out on the ice. Like, all right, like, is it worth it?
Yeah.
Falling through the ice is terrifying. Like, I don't want to do that. Not worth it to me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't know, man. And the problem is too is like everyone's chomping at the bit to try to like do it.
Yeah.
So now everyone's like trying to like push the limit a little bit. Like, no, it's good. It's got to be good.
Right.
It's good. Like I can do it.
Right.
And then like you were just telling me that about like the potentially that someone fell through on Spider Lake.
Yeah, they think somebody went through on Spider. And I know probably like 3-4 weeks ago, somebody went through on Arbutus and their dog, like, basically saved their lives by bringing the little little floaty thing out to its owner. Like, the police officer gave it to the dog and was like, go. The dog took it right to him. I was like, wow.
Yeah, right.
I think that made national news. I mean, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think actually before I was heading over here, I saw something that the city of Ludington actually started putting docks back in the water.
Really?
Because, like, might as well. I mean, there's no ice. You might as well just take your boat out.
I've thought about that.
Take the boat out?
Yeah.
I mean, probably get away with it. I mean, some lakes, there's like, And even if you go through any of the, ice on your boat, it's not thick at all. Like, you'll be fine. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I thought about it because, like, I really wanted to get out to Green Lake this year, but it's like, I went out once, but I didn't go all that far because, like, the area I wanted to get to, you could tell, like, the ice had broken up already once before.
Yeah.
And this is like, all right, I had, like, 4 spuds.
Yeah.
And it's, like, 3.
Yeah.
Now it's 2. Like, I know where this is going.
Right.
Like, this is just going to get worse and worse as I keep going. And then sure enough, I drove around the other side of the lake, and, like, there's some guys that are like, don't do it. It's, like, 1 spud.
Oh, man.
And they went through. It's like,
yeah. I mean, even when, because I was in the UP for a few days here this week, and I think we went up to Big Bay, and there's Lake Independence up there. The lake's right next to Lake Superior, but, that lake we saw that, it was frozen over all the way, and there were some shanties out there, some pop-ups and all that, and, there were a few guys, and, you could tell it was kind of like a little cove, so, the ice is probably a little thicker, but for the most part, I mean, seeing any of the lakes up there, I mean, it's just poor ice conditions, and, you see guys getting desperate, and it's like, just don't do it.
Yeah, like you said, either pull the boat back out, or, like, I actually, like you said, I went out to the river and tried doing that because I'm just like, can't do what I wanted to do.
Right.
Of course, I don't know anything about fishing the river.
I'm terrible.
Yeah.
I'm just throw it in and be like, I did it.
Yeah, I've gone maybe like half a dozen times now. I'm like kind of getting the idea of like what it does, but again, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing here. Like,
well, and then you see those guys out there, that are fly fishing and they just have it down, and you're like,
that happened several times. And I'm just like, hey, I'm gonna like make sure I'm like around the next bend so you don't see me and judge me too much about what I'm doing here.
Right.
Like don't judge me. Like, I know I look like I don't know what I'm doing because I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. We'll see. Again, and like I don't think we're even supposed to get cold temps again for like another like week and a half, maybe.
I think it's supposed to. I saw it's supposed to warm up even more than what it is now. So, and rain.
Yeah.
So that'll just make it. Just might as well pull the boat back out at this point. I think winter's over. I say that now.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna get nailed here.
March is gonna come around and we're just gonna get hammered.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, by that time it's by that time it's too late anyway. I mean, so
yeah.
I think this one you just write it off.
Yeah, it's basically just like, well, I guess fish the river, try to figure that out, maybe catch a fish or two for the season.
Yeah.
Like go squirrel hunting, rabbit hunting.
Something. I mean,
go shed hunting, I guess. There's no snow, so you can find some fresh sheds.
Oh yeah. Yep.
But yeah, I don't know. It's put a real big damper. Like I was by end of deer season, I'm like, I'm ready for like ice fishing season. I'm ready for a change now.
Right.
And then it just never came.
Well, it's definitely not hurting the deer at all. I'm sure they're pleased because they can go wherever they want. They can eat whatever they want. They're not mowing down on cedars and bark and all that. I mean, they just walk out and eat whatever.
Yeah.
So
that is one, like, that's the one caveat. Like, yeah, it's at least it's like the deer population should be pretty well off. Like,
they're not. We're not going to lose any deer because of the weather this year.
Yeah, I mean, even like what you're saying, if there's not that much snow up in the UP either.
Yeah.
I wonder if the deer even migrated yet.
I don't think so. I mean, because typically they'll migrate from Lake Superior down to Lake Michigan, and we saw a few deer in Marquette, and it's very odd.
Yeah.
Very odd.
I don't know. Kind of rooting for the UP then. If they don't have a hard winter.
Yeah.
It'll help the deer population up there a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
It's not gonna be night and day, but
right. I know the moose have an issue with that though. They need their cold temperatures, but whitetail, they'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be again weird winter.
just makes me think what next winter is going to be like. You know, if it's like this year, are we going to get hammered next winter, or who knows anymore? You know?
Yeah, because was it? We were due for what, an El Nino year.
Yeah.
So we were supposed to have like a more or less mild, dry
Right.
winter. So we'll see. I don't know.
I think that the weather really had a big impact on deer season this year for sure. It was so warm. I just
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it does. I mean, the problem is like it does, but then like the deer are still out there, so we could always change our tactics to utilize that. But again, it's like that time of year, like the deer aren't being pressured to have to like get up and feed if they don't have to because it's warm.
Right.
They don't like late season really sucked too. It's like I was banking on snow and cold temperatures,
Mm-hmm.
and this is like they don't need to come out until dark because they're not
Right.
like it's not cold enough. There's not enough snow. It's like
Yeah.
so yeah. I mean it. I really struggled during late season because it was just like my go-to tactic of like sitting out over food, like
Yeah.
camera showed all night long. They'd be in
Oh
there.
yeah. Yep.
And they just like barely like would come out like
Mhm.
even that last like 20 30 minutes before last light,
Right.
like they just didn't have to.
Yeah, I remember seeing my phone, in the morning with all the notifications of all the activity overnight, and then you'd go all day and there'd be nothing.
Yeah I don't know, you like having the cell camera?
I do and don't.
Yeah.
I like it because I'm like, all right, I don't have to go down there and drive, get the chip, look at it. But at the same time, so if there's some stuff going on down there during the day, I'm like, I gotta get down there. I gotta go right now. You'd be at work and it pops up and you're like, oh man.
Yeah, and especially too if you get a picture during daylight. Like I dare any hunter not to look at that picture. Like see the notification.
Yeah.
And then just put their phone down.
That's impossible.
Like you can't.
No.
I know. Like you might be able to do it for like a minute or two, but you're gonna check that camera.
Oh,
See
yeah.
what that picture was.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, there was another guy I work with, and goes, Ryan, get over here, check this out. My big deer's in my spot right now. Like you looking, I'm like, man, that's a big deer. He's like, I think I'm gonna go home. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, I think I might.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, which I mean, that's part of the reason why there some DNR agencies are cracking down on the use of those cell cameras because that live feed.
Yeah.
Like, which again, same thing. Like,
Right.
really, you're gonna dictate that I can go get a deer?
Yeah.
Like, but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Same thing. I got really pissed off. One day, I don't remember. It was like just before the rut. Like I think it was like November 1st or 2nd, somewhere in there. Maybe it was Halloween.
Mm.
I don't remember the exact day, but it was in that like time frame. And the dogs ran off.
Oh.
So I'm out behind the house, like following like their tracks in the snow.
Yep.
I get a notification, and of course, like even though I'm pissed off at these dogs,
Yeah.
I pull it up, and this is like this massively wide 8-point, like down at the farm. I'm just like, you've got to be kidding me! Like, do not ruin this for me, dogs. Like,
Right.
I'm supposed to be hunting tomorrow. Like,
Right.
Like, and if I'm still having to deal with you guys,
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna be so mad at you.
Mm-hmm.
They
Yeah.
made it all the way down to the other road. I stop at the intersection. I look down, and like a quarter mile out, they're running down the road coming towards me.
Of course.
Right, just do. Oh,
That's how it would happen when Bella and Bailey would get out. They'd always come up and they're like, "Hi."
yeah.
And Bailey, she, yellow lab, and of course she wasn't yellow anymore. She was black from all the mud in the swamp. They just look happy as can be. Like, hey, we went for a walk. It was great.
Fancy to see you
Totally
here.
worth it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but I was so mad.
Yeah.
Because I mean, and it was a buck I had never seen before too. So
Oh.
this random buck just showed up, and it was like noon. And it's like, oh,
Of course.
like you dogs.
That's how it happens.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. The cell camera thing is interesting. It's fun, but I could see how it could become a problem.
Yeah, eventually, it definitely could. Especially, like that guy I told you. He where we work and where he lives is pretty close. So I mean, I guess it can kind of take the the actual like real hunting aspect out of it because like especially like older guys thinking, well, you got all this technology now and going out there and you got a camera that tell you when deer is out there and I can see that, but in my case it makes it to where I don't have to drive all the way down there to get the chip all the time.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, I kind of played that out a little bit with hunting state land. It was kind of like, you know what? For one, I was worried about camera getting stolen.
yeah,
Which, go figure, I had one stolen last year. But like, I just like kind of wanted like that pure like I don't know what's out here.
Yeah.
I want to be surprised.
right.
Like that was the other part of it. But then like last year, I'm just like, I don't care. Like I want to know if this spot's worth anything.
Right.
So I would run cameras and like again, it's kind of the same thing. Like you can fall in that like cycle of like, oh, they're just not here.
Mm-hmm.
But then really like that camera's not catching everything. So
Right.
which was apparent when like I would go on hunt. It's like, oh, there's like 4 other trails that are being used behind the camera.
Oh yeah.
So it's like,
Yep.
but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I always laugh a little bit because I always I feel like I take hunting way too far. Like, clearly.
Yeah, no worries.
But, I don't know.
You know what though? It's nice to just get out. Even if you don't see anything, it's just being out in the woods. Mm-hmm. That's sometimes that's what it comes down to for me. Even if I don't see anything all day long or anything, it's just nice to be out in the woods.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who I was talking to. It might have been Kim about this. About like the idea of like just unplugging and like getting away from like the technology, your phone, whatever. Like
right.
Cutting out the screen time.
Yep.
Stuff.
Yep. And sometimes you see some of the strangest things out in the woods. What? Why?
Yeah.
Why did like well, that I told you the story that woodpecker that flew. I don't know if I did tell you this story or not about the woodpecker on opening day, right after that 8-point took off.
You might have, but I don't remember, so you gotta tell it again.
So 8-point takes off, and I'm like, oh, dang it, upset. This woodpecker, I don't know, I think it was a little pileated woodpecker. Probably, he wasn't super big, but flies right onto the ledge of my windowsill and just starts chirp, 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 chirp. I'm like, and I just yelled, I'm like, go away. And it continued. It flew into my blind. So I got this bird flying all over inside my blind. And I'm like, get out of here. Get out of here. And at this point, I'm like, all right. I just caused the biggest ruckus in the woods, like fighting this woodpecker in my blind, And it's, things like that. Like where else is that going to happen?
Yeah.
So.
Did I ever tell you how I got bum rushed by a skunk?
No.
This was a few years back, and I just got done hunting, and I think I was going to check cameras or something like that.
Yeah.
And like I'm walking through the food plot, and I'm like, I don't know, like 20, 30 yards from the edge. All of a sudden, this skunk like comes out of like the brush area.
Yeah.
And like it's running straight for me. So I had to stop.
Yeah.
And it's still coming.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, all right, well, it's going to have to see me eventually. Like, it's going to realize I'm here or something.
Right.
Like, and it's coming closer and closer and closer. I'm like, what's going on here? Like, what's going on? It gets about like 10 yards away. And I started like doing like the nervous, like bounce back, like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah.
And finally it stops, stares at me, turns around and runs right back. Like,
what are you doing?
What the heck was this? Like, and this is like 10 in the morning or something like that. Like,
yeah.
Like, what was that all about?
Right.
But like, just comes running straight for me.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah. Just some of the most wild things, you just, it's like normally you expect animals like that to just kind of try to stay completely away from you, but like when you're out in the woods, you're at their house, so
Yeah.
maybe it's different. I don't know, but
Yeah. Aside from that, I don't know. I've had far too many. Well, maybe not far too many, but I've had a lot of encounters with bear out bow hunting, especially.
yeah,
Which
never had bear, never.
yeah,
My dad has, but never. I've actually never seen a bear in the wild. And the amount of years that I even when I was in the UP, I saw more moose.
you would think, yeah, with you be up in the UP,
Yeah,
you would think that you would have seen several.
never saw a bear. I've seen moose. I've seen wolves. Never seen a bear.
Yeah.
So maybe I need to go bear hunting. I don't know.
No, maybe not if you're not seeing them.
Probably not.
I thought about that because we'll see. I think I have roughly like a 50-50 shot of drawing a bear tag this year.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. It all depends on how many other people are at my same point range.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, maybe. I've seen a lot of bear.
Yeah.
Like, I know.
Out the farm or
the farm, state land. Yep.
okay.
So, it was just a new state land spot last year. Like, the first time I hunted it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just sitting there and, like, it's kind of spooky how quiet they are.
Yeah.
Because it's like one of those things, like this one came through and I could just, like, it was still like green leaves and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was coming through and I just saw like a flash of black by like behind this tree. I'm like, is that a squirrel? Like, I don't see anything.
Yeah.
And then next thing I know, it's like, here it comes down the trail. This is like,
Oh.
and it's like, it's within like the trail I thought a deer would come down.
Yeah.
So it's like 20, 25 yards out. And I'm just like, oh, come on.
Go away.
Well, then, because like when I came in, like because I moved spots, I crossed the trail, and I was set up in this little tree, and like the brush and like the like branch litter was so much, I was only 4 feet off the ground,
Oh.
and I tethered myself to the tree like up in my little saddle,
Yeah.
and this bear gets on my like ground scent trail and starts following my trail towards the tree,
Yeah. No.
and like I'm just like I started getting nervous, like I was recording my phone, I'm like like made sure I like had my bow, and I'm like.
Right.
And they got like 10 yards and then finally turned around.
Yeah.
And it's like, good golly. Like, it's just, again, the interactions with bears usually not going to lead to that. But I'm like,
Right.
if this bear did decide, like, he
Oh,
wanted to
yeah.
get a little frisky, like, I'm within reach
Right.
and I'm stuck to this tree because I'm tied to it.
Well, because they're naturally curious anyway. Like he could come up and just be like, hey, and just pat, and that's all it takes because,
Yeah.
their little pat is a lot.
Yeah. But yeah, it was just like one of those things like, yeah, usually, like it had been a while since I've had an interaction with a bear. Like the first time, like it was fine because I was like right on the edge of the field down at the farm,
Mm-hmm.
and this bear comes through, like instantly caught my scent and took off.
Yeah.
Like the second time, I was in the back of the property, and it like crosses the field and like heads into like the creek bottom area.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have to walk through there, and this is like 15 minutes before dark.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, I
Right.
don't want to be walking through there. Like, hey, Mr. Bear.
Right. Yeah. Just have your knife out with you and your flashlight or what have you. You know,
So like, yeah, I actually got down. I'm like, I'm not sitting until dark.
Yeah.
And like, I get down, like, hurry through the creek bottom before it got dark.
Right.
And like, I look down to like the wood line, like as I'm like coming up off like out of the woods, and the bear is coming out of the woods at the exact same time. So we were walking in parallel.
Oh yeah.
Through that, I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. No.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I am very curious to see like what it's like being on my first bear hunt. Like if it's not this year, more than likely next year.
Yeah.
But I'm just curious, like, am I gonna like it?
Right.
That type of thing. So no
I mean, that's going back to me never seeing a bear. Maybe you're right. Maybe I shouldn't even try.
I mean, but no, I mean, eventually, I mean, it'll be cool.
Yeah.
Have you ever put in for like points or anything like that for bear hunting?
I haven't. No. Typically I just, I stick to just, deer hunting, turkey hunting.
Yeah.
Small game, squirrel. Just that's typically about it. And then fishing, of course. But
Yeah. Did you put in Did you put in your application for turkey season?
I did.
Yeah. What
Yep.
season are you going for?
I don't know. I think go spring
Well, I mean for
turkey.
yeah.
It's spring, right?
Yeah. But
Yeah.
they have basically the 3 seasons. You put in already for this?
I think I don't know. I'd have to look. I don't remember. I'd have to check my app because I put in for, certain different things. It's kind of like a, little grocery list of stuff and, like, so.
Yeah, I didn't put in again this year. I'm just going to do 3rd season and I don't know.
I'm just, I never really have been a big turkey hunter. So, really don't really put a whole lot of effort into it. Even if I, maybe I didn't, I couldn't tell you because just like I said, I put almost zero effort into turkey hunting. Like just, more or less when I do turkey hunt, I just wander around in the woods with a gun and I'm like, oh, there's a bird or not, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's well, 50% of the turkeys I've gotten, I've done that, just bushwhacked them and
Yeah. I mean, some of them are just so dumb.
Yeah.
Like, you could even just like, hey, and then you hear blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I wish I was more into turkey hunting, but I'm just like, I'm just not. Like,
Yeah.
half time I'm like, I'd rather just go fishing or something.
Yeah. Some, kind of, even after you, harvest turkey, it's, to me, sometimes it's more of a hassle, because you got to clean it, you got to plug it, you got to all of this. And it's like, let's go to Meijer and get a turkey. It's so much easier. And they, like.
I listened to a guy, he was funny. He hosts a podcast or he hosts the Hunt For podcast. He's talking about that. It's like, hey, going out for turkey? I was like, yeah, I'll just go behind my house.
Yeah.
Pick out the one I want. And the guy's like, huh?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I raise turkeys. Like,
right.
he's like, I like turkey way too much just to get one per year.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Whitetail for sure. I like squirrel hunting, but I haven't gone out this year.
Mm-hmm.
But I always I keep telling myself I'm gonna go duck hunting in the fall, but then I get preoccupied with deer.
Yeah.
And never do it.
See, I've never gone duck or goose hunting. Like that's something that I think that'd be kind of fun,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, duck tastes pretty good to me. So, I mean, it's.
Yeah. Maybe we'll have to do that for this fall. We'll plan it out to where.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to duck
I
hunting.
have no idea.
But I know there's a couple of ponds I know hold ducks.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a start. I mean, yeah, just. You see these guys, they get TV that are super serious about duck hunting. They got this, they're set up to where they're like either in a boat or like some sort of a blind that's covered in like reeds and grass. And you see these ducks come through and they just pop open a door and it's like, boom, 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 boom. Shunk. Dog goes out, brings them back in. And then it's like over and over. I'm like, and these guys got it down. Like, it's just like they just pop out, shoot.
Yeah.
Dog goes out, comes back in, and they go back in. It's like.
Yeah. It's like they got it down to a science. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so, I know. It's one of those things like, man, like, but you got to imagine like the path to get to that point.
Oh, yeah.
Just like with like deer hunting, it's like
Yep.
you get like all these guys are like professional hunters that kill like massive bucks every year. So it's
Right.
like, yeah, that's great. But how much do you have to go through to be that good to get there?
All the effort and the money and the time and, like I'm sure these guys that, have those crazy ultimate duck blinds or whatever they got, they got it down to a science and
Yeah.
it's fun to watch, fun to watch them. But, me, I'd just be like, there's a duck.
Yeah. I mean, that's like same thing. Like me, like going to like fishing the river, like you hear stories of like, oh yeah, cuts, so many fish.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, there's fish all like,
Yeah.
like I walked the whole stretch. I didn't even get like one bite.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
apparently it's me.
Well, like I've been out, with guys that, that's, all that they do is just fish, 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 fish. And, they're just, a buddy of mine, he's out. He said, he's like, come on out with me. I got this great spot. I got these Lakers that we slay all the time. And I was like, all right. And he's like, but I'm going to have to put a blindfold on you. What? Like, I don't want you to know where we're at. I was like, okay. Like, I don't own my own boat. I'm not going to go tell somebody else where they're at. And he's like, all right, but we got to go out. I never ended up going out with him, but it's just, he's got it so dialed in. It's
so worried about his spot being burned out. Huh?
Oh yeah.
Huh.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's the same thing. Like, ask most deer hunters. Like, especially if they go on like public land or something like that. Like, where do you go?
Yeah.
Yeah, out this way.
I go in the woods.
Yeah.
Same thing. Like you go mushroom hunting.
Oh yeah, that's a great example.
That's that is like if somebody asks you where your mushroom spot is, it's like in the back of your mind, you're like, man, I think I lost a lot of respect for this person right away. Like, why would I tell you that? Like,
yeah.
Sometimes I don't, you don't even tell family where this stuff is.
Yeah.
Like,
with you bring that up, I think that's more serious than asking where their deer hunting spot is.
Yeah.
Like, especially around here. Like,
oh yeah.
You don't know.
Right. Yep.
Like, yeah, like I've heard crazy stories of like serious altercations.
Oh,
over
absolutely
spots.
Yeah. Yeah. I had it was funny because there was a spot by somewhere I used to work, and I was walking to a morning meeting, and I saw this car pull up in between some of the buildings where I used to work. These people get on out, and you know what they're doing. You absolutely, as soon as they get out with bags in their hands, and they're down, looking towards the ground, kind of walking slow. I'm like, they're mushroom hunting. So I go there a couple days later. Absolutely. And then, of course, it's a high traffic area. People are, what are you doing? I'm like, I lost my key card. Like, why would you, like, went a different way, and, and then of course, I got caught onto and everything, so other people, would go and do that too. But, it's a funny thing, and, people get real upset about it.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. But I mean, geez. Morels, they're, people take them seriously, we'll say that.
Absolutely. And, I was thinking maybe, with Amos being a bloodhound, I heard that bloodhounds will be able to, sniff out morels. I saw that, and I've been doing a little bit of research on it, but he'd probably eat them.
I don't know. That'd be the hard part, is like they find it and immediately it's like, oh.
Yeah. Like, all right, dude. Well, I guess you're full.
Yeah.
Thank you. At least we got to go for a walk.
All right, man. Well, I think dinner should be ready soon, so.
Okay.
Unless there's something else you want to cover. Anything else I think I missed?
I don't know. I think, it was a good conversation. I appreciate you having me come over and chat with you. And so, yeah.
Most definitely, man. I mean, again, I feel as though this is a long time coming that should have had you on sooner, but.
Yeah, it's all good.
But yeah, no, we'll, I don't know. Again, we'll have to do more, like you said.
Yeah.
We'll try. I don't know about goose hunting because I don't have any good setup for that. We'd have to
yeah.
Even though I know a guy who knows a guy.
Right.
But, no. It'd be fun to try duck hunt. I mean, like I said, I've been meaning to go duck hunting in the fall like 3 years now.
Right.
Never do it.
Right. I mean, would we have to bring a dog or a canoe, or should we
that I don't
hunt
know.
in a canoe? Like, just so many different,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It all depends. I know there's a couple of spots where there's actually like a stream that runs through. There's a bit of current, like a net or rocks or something. I don't know.
I don't know, because I know I don't have a dog that'll be able to do it.
I bet I can get Kane to do it.
Yeah.
Of course, he wouldn't be able to shut up though.
Right.
He'd be hearing those dogs and he'd start yipping and whatnot. And I don't know. That'd be the one part I haven't. That's probably the big reason why I haven't done it. I'm like, all right, great, I got a duck. Now it's in the middle of this pond. I can't reach it.
Right? Yeah. Yep.
Maybe I have to look up how the people do it, retrieving their ducks when they don't have a dog.
Can you rent a dog?
That would be some business.
Right?
Have like a trained like retrieving dog.
Rent a retriever?
Yeah, but like, I don't know. I wouldn't trust like my dog with like this random. So I'd have to go on all these hunts because it was like,
right.
Yeah.
I guess I could be the same thing with like what Kelvin has. Like, you go out with your dog, and your dog goes and retrieves all these ducks for people, and all right, thanks.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm sure. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, they'd be like, "Why am I just wasting my dog's talents for other people's ducks?" Like,
right. Exactly.
But all right, man. We'll wrap this one up. That way we can get upstairs, get some dinner.
Cool.
But we'll have to have you on again, and again, well, I'm sure we'll have some more fun and adventures.
Oh yeah.
Well.
Yep.
All right, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks.
All right, so that's it for the conversation with Ryan. Ryan, again, thank you as always for coming on. I know it's a little awkward sometimes getting started out with the very first episode with the headset and the camera in your face. So, but you did great. And I hope everyone enjoyed this episode. Again, we just kind of talked about a little bit about his background and, kind of what his experiences are and what we're kind of looking forward to going forward here. So with that, I think I'm going to wrap this one up. And with that, get out there, be safe, and have fun.